Hi, I'm JoyGenea with Solutions by JoyGenea.
And I'm Michelle with Bad Cat Digital, and welcome to If These Heels Could Talk.
Yay!
Today we have a special guest with us. JoyGenea, who is joining us today?
Today, our special guest is Mary Jane Skurat. And what makes Mary Jane super amazing for us is she is actually our first recipient of the Brilliant Leader Soul Award.
The Soul Award, SOLE. Soul, see, it's a shoe pun.
Yes.
Yes. Like all the things. Yes.
Well, it goes with If These Heels. I call it the BLS Award.
Yes. So what is the BLS Award given for?
The BLS Award is given in recognition of, and in particular towards women, but we don't discriminate, of course.
Of course not.
But it's given in recognition of the fact that so often women business owners are unrecognized. And so often their businesses are not the greatest revenue earning. They are not probably, it would be hard sometimes for them to win awards because quite often women make sacrifices as business owners for their families, for their community, those types of things, which then cost them revenue at the end of the day.
And recognition.
Yes, recognition and revenue.
Yes.
And I had noticed this, and as we were growing the podcast, you and I had some conversations about what we were noticing, and we wanted to create something that we could use to acknowledge the amazingness of women business owners. We also wanted to not burden them with a whole lot of other stuff.
Right. So what is the award?
The award is one of these itty bitty keychains, and everybody's really unique, and you can do with it as you wish.
Yes. I can tell you what I would do with it.
That's your official item. Do you want to read what the word says?
I think we should get right to Mary Jane's bio, get the focus on Mary Jane. So Mary Jane was the owner of Hairitage Square, Hair.
Yes.
Hairitage Square. Yes. And what else? What else should we know about Mary Jane?
Mary Jane had this amazing Hairitage Square business.
Yes.
In a town of 300 people.
300 people.
300 people in the middle of central Minnesota. So when we talk about middle of central Minnesota, she's actually literally physically pretty much the center of Minnesota. And people would drive miles. And I'm talking from the metro area and so forth, just for an appointment with her.
Well, I mean, Mary Jane's hair looks amazing, and I would drive for her hair.
I know, and her skills.
Yes.
So just a brief bio is the fact she's an amazing hair artist, still is, but she's not really taking new clients, so you can't book with her, so too bad. She is a past business owner. She's a wife, a mom, and a community member.
I think you also said she was a first responder.
She was for 12 years.
Wow. So that's amazing.
So welcome, Mary Jane. Thank you for joining us.
So Mary Jane, we are dying to know, the first question we ask all of our guests, what is your favorite kind of shoe?
Well, I think you'll find out from a lot of cosmetologists, they do wear dance goes, mainly because it keeps their body in line. And if I hadn't worn dance goes all these years, I wouldn't still be working behind the chair.
Oh, sure.
Hey, why don't we have Danceco as a sponsor?
I know, right?
I think, yes.
You were the second. We've had 3 guests, and you were the second one that wears Danceco's.
We're going to have a conversation with them.
Absolutely.
We're not gonna, and how many pairs of those do you own at this point?
Probably 6 to 8, all different colors, all different, pretty basically the clogs with the hard soles, mainly for standing.
Wow.
Yeah. Got it.
Very cool.
Very nice. How long did you own your business? So when did you open Hairitage Square, and how big did it get? And then, I'm curious about some of that.
Well, 1991 was when I opened this particular location.
Oh, okay.
It was the last of 6 independent locations that I did have. So it was the longest lasting, and it was really, really an interesting journey for me.
That's awesome. When did you decide it was time to move on and allow being a business owner to take that hat off? Like when did that kind of come about?
Well, I received my cosmetology license in 1972. So that makes me 50 years in the industry. And at my
Wow.
45th year, my son encouraged me to make an exit plan, which I easily avoided. So what happened? What happened was COVID was kind of a gift and opportunity, because all of a sudden I had to shut down, and I magically had a buyer for my physical building. So there was the gift and opportunity to get out from under, at the probably the 49-year mark, of my career.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Talk about
Yeah.
seeing the silver lining. Fantastic.
Yeah.
What do you think was the biggest challenge you faced being female business owner in a very small town?
Well, it's geographic isolation out here. So we have, I think what happened was it was hard to gain their trust and build a clientele, but still sustain enough money to run a business in a physical building.
Mm-hmm.
So that was part of it. Just funding it and finding and keeping talent that wanted to stay in a small town. So eventually I was really blessed by a talented, innovative, creative person who happened to be my daughter, moved back to the area, and she partnered with me. So that worked out
Fantastic.
perfectly.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to a little bit when you decided. I think people would be curious when you decide you're going to take that hat off and sell the building. What were some other steps you kind of had to take as part of that process? A little of the mental and a little of the like physical. Like what did that kind of look like for you?
Well, it was very heartbreaking. It was there was some discomfort, some melancholy, some grief, because all of a sudden everything you've done was kind of pulled out from under you. So, but once I disassembled my physical building, it gave me the opportunity to look forward to something new and delightful, which I could do with my life. So I've actually continued in the industry, but I've cut way back and just, set some boundaries and enjoy all of the things that I can do, the best things I can do, narrowed down my skills.
Nice. Smart.
What is your kind of future plan? Like what is the future looking like for you? Your vision?
Right now, I'm really happy with, I am blessed to work for my daughter. So our hats have changed. And she has a real well thought out, beautiful salon that I can just enjoy going to. And I don't have to think about very much except showing up. So,
Payroll and inventory and
Oh, she became an employee.
oh my gosh.
Oh, we
It's
dream
a
of
dream.
or snow removal.
Right.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Or
Things like
your
that.
appointment vacancy rate. Yeah.
Mhm.
Restocking
Mhm.
product.
Yeah.
Ordering the product.
Yeah. Wage compression, dealing with the raises. You know what? We gotta stop.
Yep. Gotta stop. All the things she's newly enjoying.
So Mary Jane, with when you disassembled Heritage, obviously the building held value, then you were able to sell that. But what about the business assets, the name, the website, the clientele? What happened with that?
Well, the clientele pretty much moved over to my daughter's salon. And I just, I no longer needed to advertise or do any of those things. I had a really good friend, JoyGenea, who helped me through a lot of that. And I
might have helped shut a few
just
things
was
down.
able to downsize, to the point where I feel comfortable now with what I'm doing 2 days a week with a 5-day weekend. So,
Okay. It's okay. It's coming. That's why we're talking to these people.
Do I have to wait 50 years?
Nope.
I don't want to wait 50 years.
You started later.
I did start late.
You're giving us hope in a different, like, you kind of gotta know that that's, like, I know that's out there, but like in talking to her, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's okay. There is life after
Yeah.
business. Like, there's life
Yeah.
after that. Mary Jane, what's one thing in life or in business that you wish you had known sooner?
well, there's a couple things. I think hiring my weakness, very important,
Yes.
so I can focus on what I'm good at. And the other thing is this industry, there's so many expectations by the client and needs by the client that we kind of fall through the cracks. So to definitely do more focusing on self-care, mental, physical, spiritual, the emotional, and that, and when you take care of that, the business kind of runs itself long term.
Love it. Love
That's
it.
good. That is darn good.
That's really good advice. I also have a curiosity. We've talked a lot on If These Heals about mothers and daughters and relationships between women in business. How has the transition been your daughter working for you and then you working for your daughter?
Well, I think that I was mentally prepared for it, and I knew that if she asked me for advice, I could give it, but it was no longer my business. So she either had to make her own mistakes and her own, the things that she's done really well. Hopefully she learned a lot from me and others. But we both are very continuing education junkies. We've been to New York a few times, and Chicago and Las Vegas and Milwaukee and the Twin Cities, St. Cloud, wherever we can find a continuing education, we just love that kind of thing. So it really meshes, when you have other people in the industry to help you out that way too. So she not only has me, but she has them.
That's wonderful. And it really kind of speaks to communication and boundaries and how those serve a relationship.
Yeah, there are some boundaries that I have to respect.
Yeah, that must be hard.
So it's working out quite well, though.
Good.
Good.
I have another question. I apologize. It wasn't on the list, but I was thinking of this as we were talking about the longevity, like how many years you've owned a business and done this. You at one point had small children while you were doing this, and you were juggling all of that. And then they became high school. How were there times, because you own your business and everything, were there times that you just had to shut the door, cancel appointments so that you could be home with the kids? So was that kind of a common thing? I'm just kind of curious how you juggled that at the time.
Yeah, I was very blessed because there were grandparents nearby. My husband's parents were nearby. And I also had a really good client who lost her husband right when my daughter was born. And she, it kind of filled the gap for her. Plus and she lived so close to me, like half a mile from me. So I could just
use 300 people. Where is anybody going to go?
I know.
See,
but I think it is why I became a first responder, though, is because I had the small children. I was running the business. I had a busy road on one side of my house and a lake on the other side. And I thought, if something happened, I would know what to do. So
Yeah.
That would be a woman's reason for doing that, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's so a woman's reason for doing that.
yeah.
Well,
Makes
if I'm gonna learn how to keep myself and my family safe in this treacherous environment, I might as well, donate hundreds of hours to my community at the same time. Yeah. Why not?
Because there's not enough on my plate.
Yeah,
right now.
no,
Like, what's
no,
one
not
more?
enough to do. What's one more thing? I'm gonna learn it anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So I might as well get good at it and get CPR reminders and
Right.
you got it. And she said she was an education junkie. I got
Yeah,
that.
I got that.
That is one of the things I really admired when I first met you, Mary Jane, many years ago. I think you were making a trip to St. Cloud because you guys were taking another class. And I thought, but you live out in this little town. Why does that matter? That was my own small, narrow thinking. It mattered because you guys were amazing. It didn't matter where your location was, your quality
Right.
and who you were as people. The integrity of that was not going to change no matter where the roof was of that business. And that was quite a statement to me as a fellow business owner. I really admired that and took that in. So that's part of the reason I also felt like you would be a great first recipient of the Brilliant Leader Soul Award.
Well, I feel very honored.
Well, I'm glad.
Thank you.
We're very glad. We wanted to create the award because so many people and so many of us spend so much time not being thanked. And 12 years as a first responder, the impact to your community, that keeping a small business alive and owning commercial property in a community that size, keeping it locally owned and keeping those dollars in there, the jobs that you created, the lives that you touched, there's not enough thanks on the planet. And so we just wanted to have a little moment to say thank you so much for the sacrifices and the joys and all of the things that came with it. It was lovely talking to you today, Mary Jane. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Jane, for being our guest. Bye, everybody.